Hey everybody, Cooper Lily 21 here, back with another video. This time's a little different. This is kind of an op-ed piece, something new for me. A little bit of tank gameplay in Battlefield 4 in the background while it runs. Start out, just remember this is all my opinion. Just one man, some silly lawyer talking about a video game he probably knows nothing about. But it's about why I think Battlefield 3 gameplay is a little superior to Battlefield 4 gameplay at this moment in time. One man's opinion, but beneath, I guess, the beauty of the maps, I mean, clearly they're beautiful, and the shock and awe graphics, I call them, you know, the Levolution, for example, and just the pure potential, and the thought, the idea of Battlefield 4, there's clearly something amiss. The gameplay's, in my opinion, very different from Battlefield 3. Some call it broken, some call it, I don't know, whatever you want to call it. I just think it's very different. And I've taken probably the past, how long's the game been out? I'll call it the past 200 hours, because that's what I have in the game so far, 200 hours. The past 200 hours I've spent trying to figure out why does it feel so different. And I've gone back and played Battlefield 3 for a couple reasons, out of frustration, to be honest for you, and in an attempt to try to figure out why the game feels so different. And I think I've come up with the kind of a accumulation of little changes that they made to Battlefield 4, all of which I think made sense, and they're a good reason to change the things, but ended up just changing the whole dynamic of the game. And let me be clear at the outset, I don't think that any of these changes that DICE decided on were bad ideas. I think they were all good ideas. I think they're all attempts to fix what people found wrong with Battlefield 3. I just think the culmination of each of the little changes, like I said, changed Battlefield 4 for the worse, in my opinion. So let's go into a couple of them. The first one is the perk system. The way they set up the perks for Battlefield 4 is really interesting. But what it did is it effectively made you choose between the stay alive longer defensive perk and the I don't want to run out of ammo offensive perk. Of course, you know, there's a couple other perks too, but those are the two main ones, I think. And the idea was good, but it really changed the way the gunplay in the game plays out when you make that choice. If you don't choose the defensive perk, I mean, the fact is you're going to die faster. There's no escapability without the defensive perk. You know, in Battlefield 3, you could, the bunny hopping, which people didn't like, but you could bunny hop or you could run and stay alive longer. You just can't do that in Battlefield 4 unless you use the defensive perk, in my opinion. And obviously this is all my opinion. Secondly, they changed the way the defibrillators recharge. They extended the recharge time, which again was another good idea, because Battlefield 3, Operation Metro, you could just, stand in the side stair and revive the entire team constantly. I saw rounds where guys finished first that had 2 kills on 1,200 ticket rounds and had like 1,000 revives. So it obviously needed to be fixed, but what they did is, by extending the revive time, is they ensured that more people were going to be dying. Which, again, is a good idea, but you're not using the defensive perk. You're using the offensive perk, and you're not getting revived. You're just dying more often. And thirdly, in what might be the most subtle of the three, but have the most dramatic impact on the gameplay and the gunplay, in my opinion, and what others have pointed out, in particular, I noticed X Factor talking about it in his videos a couple of times, and I'll link his YouTube page below. Essentially what DICE did is they changed the way you reset your recoil compensation. So when you're using the mouse on the PC, when you pull back to counter the recoil in Battlefield 3, you had to return the crosshair back to your target or to your second target by pushing the mouse back up. In Battlefield 4 you don't have to do that. You can compensate recoil all you want by pulling down, 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 but what happens is your crosshairs are immediately back on target without having to, readjust or reset that recoil. So those three main things, essentially, in my opinion, kind of turned gameplay on its head, and what someone else described on Twitter has made the regular mode games feel like hardcore to me. And then hardcore, I'm not a hardcore player, but if you play hardcore, it's almost one shot, one kill, because once a target locks onto you, they're going to kill you, and they're going to kill you fast. The only chance you have is if you see them first, or you don't see the 360 return shot kills anymore. In my opinion, there's no escapability in the game, and the time to kill is way too fast. And essentially, it feels like playing hardcore to me, and that's unfortunate because I had a lot of high hopes, and they marketed the heck out of this game. I mean, let's all be honest. They took the dedicated and the loyal Battlefield 3 fan base, and they marketed this game like crazy, and people got excited. And I think we're seeing some disappointment because of maybe mostly or partly because of the level of marketing and the excitement. But that said, I'm still playing the game, so who am I to talk? But let's go look at this Recoil. I call it the Recoil reset mechanic, and talk about it a little bit. All right, here we are in Battlefield 3. This is Grand Bazaar, one of the alleyways, and let's watch how this works. Okay, here's an ADS, M416. I'm sorry. Heavy barrel. That's the recoil. Full mag dump. That's the way it works. Now watch me pull the recoil. I'm pulling back on the mouse. Watch where my sight ends up. That's where the crosshairs end up, so you can see how far I pulled back to keep that level. Now here we are on Battlefield 4. Same gun. Here I'm just countering the recoil. Watch where my crosshair ends up. Look, I pulled back the same amount. You see that? Here, it's the same recoil. M416 is a little less to the right, but M416, heavy barrel. Watch. Pulling back. Watch my crosshair. You see that? You see that difference? Sorry, I'm getting all excited, but this is a huge change. Let's watch it again. I'm pulling back. I'm pulling down to keep his crosshair level. Right back. Let's go back to Battlefield 3. And watch the crosshair. Watch where it goes. I pull the same distance almost. Look. The gun stats are almost the same for recoil on the M416. Watch again. See? I mean, it really is a big change to the game. I mean, it changes the way... I don't know, maybe if it's the veterans from Battlefield 3 just having to change the way they play, maybe I'm just not able to change fast enough. But it's a very big difference. You don't have to reset your crosshairs anymore. And here's long range in Battlefield 4. Now if you notice, that is fairly long range, long-ish range, and so the recoil compensation like I'm drawing would have been much more drastic than it was at close range the previous few clips. So you see I'm wiggling where I ended up in my crosshairs by the mouse movement, but I didn't have to move it back at all. I didn't have to use that upper movement, that increased movement. Like I was all excited jumping around. Let's do it again in Battlefield 3. Here, no control to the recoil, right? So I should pull that same amount down to the left. And here I'm pulling it back. The crosshair is not moving. See where I end up? It's a very big change. It really is a very big change, and maybe many people don't know about it, but it's changed the dynamic of the game a lot, in my opinion. For the worse, in my opinion. And for the last piece, one more time beating it home, here is the LMG. You know the LMGs have crazy recoil if you don't compensate them. Okay, so I'm using the MG4. Now watch. I'm going to pull back as hard as I can. I can barely control it. Pulling. Watch the crosshairs. Didn't budge. I pulled way down there. It's just very different. That's why the LMGs are so good. One of the reasons why. You do control the recoil, but your second target, you're already right on target. You don't have any vertical movements. It's all lateral. It's all horizontal movement to reset to go to your next target. And I think what it has done is it has made players that don't have as much time in this game more on the same playing field as the veterans. And maybe that's what DICE wanted to do, and if so, they did a great job at it. But what I think it also does is unfairly punish a player that can really control recoil well. Now, there's great players out there. The great players are going to be great. I mean, they're just great players. But guys like me that are average, maybe above average, are being penalized. Watch here with the FAMAS, the crazy recoil. Watch me try to control it. This is the last one here. Look, I can barely hold it. Wait for it. Watch where the crosshairs is. Wait for it. Look at that. Well, that's all I got for you guys. Am I mad, bro? Do I even lift? No, the answer is no to both, I think. But let me know what you think about the contents of the video. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Do you think I'm an asshole? Excuse my French. Do you think I'm just crying about it? Let me know. I appreciate the comments. And give me a thumbs up if you liked it. Subscribe, send to your friends, all that good stuff. I really appreciate you taking the time to watch and listen. I'll see you on the battlefield, guys. Take it easy.